Thank you, Gertrude, and the Her Story staff for the tremendous work you are doing on this platform, which gives women the voice to share their stories. My story begins as a chapter or as chapters from a story with the gift of loss. I want to make sure that you all can still hear me. Can you give me a head shake? Okay, thank you so much. So this chapter of my life opens where my mother's chapter ends, when her last breath and in the final act of human emotion, my mother smiled as her spirit transitioned from this physical place. Even at that point in her transition, I didn't realize that same energy of transition would later put me on my destiny's path. As I sat in her room where physical life had ended, the spiritual energy was very much alive. At that point, I realized why my mom had smiled. Just like her, I felt almost to the point of seeing the presence of other family members who had already died, hovering in the upper corner of her room. Although I was the only person in my mom's room, I remember hearing the words in a peaceful tone: everyone is here that needs to be here. And my spirit was consoled. The gift of loss has transformed me. It pushes me and it moves me towards my destiny to serve those who are dying and supporting their loved ones. Oh my God, I said it. The word dying, it causes us to cringe. Again, my name is Valoria Walker, and I am an end of life doula and an advanced care planning trainer. As we sit here today, let's take in a deep breath before crossing the threshold into the conversation about loss, death, and destiny. Take a deep breath with me. While we're here and Karen has said for us to be all that we want to be, let's just take another deep breath. Thank you. Pondering. Thank you, Mary. Pondering brings awareness. Awareness wakes us up to things not seen previously. It is a place that gives us the ability to evaluate and change our perspectives on how we view certain things, like a loss. So let's ponder. You can share your pondering in Q&A, or you can keep your ponderings to yourself. It's up to you. As we see death thriving around us, what are your thoughts about the subject matter? Have you dived deep within yourself to investigate why you are comfortable or are not comfortable with even the words death and dying? What about a good death? What about death positive? Can the negativity of loss result in a positive gain? Could this awareness awaken us to have a new perspective about death and dying? Talking about losses. I have experienced two lost marriages, and now I am a single woman, just as happy as I want to be. As I look back, my divorces gave me and still give me the gift of being free and authentic to myself. Another loss, August 2018, I was fired from a job I worked on for 17 years. On August 20th, 2019, I walked into a new job 1 year later, precisely on the same day that I had lost my job the previous year. My new position was an advanced care planning trainer. I consider that destiny, not a coincidence. As I look back, being fired was a negative loss that resulted in a positive gain. I know talking about loss is difficult, but loss teaches us not to take things, people, places, and our current moment for granted. I'm sure you all would agree that COVID-19 has caused many losses for us this year. Gains of freedom, loss due to restrictions, loss of relationships, loss of loved ones, loss of jobs, gains of creativity and innovation, and loss of time. I want to say this. During the hurricanes of our lives, remember the eye is the calmest part of the hurricane. The entire hurricane rotates around the center of the eye. So center yourself during the hurricanes in your life to learn exactly what the storm's experience is teaching you. My mother's ending chapter, wow, experiencing the death of a parent. And you may start hearing a lot of ums here and hms here because I very rarely share this part of my mom's chapter. I've only shared it with another particular audience that I was speaking with. So I'm going to still give you the short version. My sister was my mom's primary caregiver. My mother was located in Atlanta, Georgia. My sister did a wonderful job as her primary caregiver. I was her respite caregiver, got there from Maryland as much as I could. My mother's health was beginning to decline in 2019, and she frequently started visiting the hospital, not voluntarily, in 2011. When we took her to the hospital, she woke up from a dream and she said, Dad told me not to put that thing in my throat anymore. And I said, Ma, what did you say? And she said, I saw Dad and he said for me not to put that thing, that tube, that thing in my throat anymore. So I called her sister in South Carolina so that she can share that and so that I could allow someone else to hear what my mother had said. And her sister said to her, well, if that's what Dad told you, then do what Dad told you. At that point, my mom had been taking dialysis. She was tired of doing dialysis. We knew that we was not going to be able to incubate her anymore because of her dream. And so my sister talked to her about moving to hospice. We moved my mom to hospice. This lady was 4'11", which everybody in the family measured by her. And once they thought they was taller than 4'11", they felt that they were grown. And she weighed about 120 pounds. Well, once my mom got into hospice, within 2 or 3 hours, a combination of two powerful medications were administered to my mom. My mom never woke up. 5 days later, she died the Friday, Memorial Day weekend, while my brother was in commute to visit my mom. So we never really had the proper closure that we was expecting. On top of that, and forgive me because I don't share this often. After going through that and transferring my mom from Atlanta to Georgia, we knocked on the door of I would say administrators that was in charge of the church cemetery. Now this cemetery is in South Carolina, and about 90% of my family member is in the cemetery. We always knew that my mom was going to be buried there. My mom always said she wanted to be buried by her father, who was also buried by his wife. And so we knew that. Well, long story short, we was denied that burial place. And we had to bury my mom in another location, not even within the same cemetery, at a totally different cemetery, away from our family, where no other family members were. Talking about destiny, me, my brother, and my sister, we fought. Was starting to go to the head of the church. And on that very day, my uncle called my sister and said, hold on to what you're doing. Just hold the letter. I had already had a stamp on the letter, had already licked the envelope, and was ready to send it out. Sure enough, somewhere along the way, things were reversed, and my mom was given, or we were given, the permission to bury my mom. Hmm. Have you ever been through a burial twice? We had to extract my mom's casket and relocate her beside her father. A positive and a negative experience that ended in a positive experience, which now my mother is resting where she should have been resting originally by her parents. Thank you for allowing me to share that story. My destiny. My mother's final gift to me birthed my business into existence. My destiny as an end of life doula, which is my business name called Doula by Destiny. So, what is the end of life doula? I'm glad you asked. Here are some tasks that I perform as an end of life doula. I sit and I listen and I hold space for those who are dying so that they can experience a peaceful transition into what we consider the unknown. I act in the capacity of a non medical bedside companion at the end of life. I advocate for holistic end of life care options while incorporating them into the existing clinical and hospice care plan. I work on a level to support emotional, spiritual, and practical decision making. I coordinate visual planning, legacy planning, and funeral planning. I support the family with grief and provide next steps for community resources. I speak, as I am today, and educate the public to bring awareness of the end of life movement. I advocate for self determination and self advocacy for patients to receive the quality of life at the end of life. I educate the community on the significance of advanced care planning, which is personal to you. What is advanced care planning? It's about developing a partnership with your family and clinicians to evaluate medical treatments and options for end of life care and incorporating the patients or your personal preferences and values into the treatment plan. You know, when I was thinking about this talk last week, I woke up around 3 o'clock in the morning. Most of the time, that's when I'm normally going to sleep. In my journal, I wrote, what is the spirit actually saying to us now? And these are the words I wrote. There is one God, but many religions. We are created to serve God and not our religion. Our relationship with God connects us to each other. We connect through the emotion of love. Love is far more powerful than hatred. Love is far more peaceful than fear. God is love, and love is you. When you tell your story, you share your love. My universal call of action to speak came after the death of my mother. Let your call of action be to prepare for medical emergencies if you become unable to speak for yourself. Let your call of action leave a gift of love to your family about your end of life care choices so that you can honor them. Let your call of action be the gift of loss that directs your path to your destiny. Because doula by destiny believes that we all deserve the right to die with grace, dignity, and the support of our family. As always, thank you, Mom, for the gift of loss. And I thank you all for listening to my story, The End.